Well, good morning. I guess maybe it's afternoon by now. Anyway, so before I close off the rest of these windows over here and here, I'm going to have some electricity in there so that I can power the blower that I've installed back here. Let me show you. Before I go much further closing this in, I've got to get this working, or I can't work in here anymore, and the plants will probably die because in the summertime it gets really, really hot in here, and got to have one of these. Now, a lot of people might say, well, I have natural ventilation, or they'll do something with crazy roof things and all that. And, that's kind of cool, but it's complicated. This is very simple, but you got this thing running, and it's a 3/4 horse motor or a 1 horsepower motor. It takes some electricity to run that. Now, I have an advantage here, and I'll admit that. I have solar power in my house. I'm not a prepper, but I've integrated solar power into my house seamlessly so that I can run this all day long for free. And if you want to see how to do that, I've got a solar power page, Eddie's solar power page or something like that. You can look it up, and there's a few things on there. And the reason I can do this is I'm an electrical engineer, so I know how to do these kind of things. And you don't have to spend tons and tons of money to do something simple like put solar power to your house effectively. You just have to know how to do it, and I do know how to do it. In any case, so today we're going to be putting in some electrical stuff, and let me show you what we're going to do. Is we're going to put, well, here's where it comes from. This is the original line that ran in here, and it's coming from the chicken coop over here. And I won't go into how to wire this up, because if you don't know how to do that, you should hire a licensed electrician or somebody who does know how, because if you don't know what you're doing, I mean, we have electricity all around us, but if you don't know what you're doing when you're putting something like this in, you can easily, and I mean easily, kill yourself or cause a dangerous situation where you seriously hurt somebody else. Well, anyway, what I'm going to do is run that line in here through that connection box, secure it properly, and then we're going to run some more line all the way down across here. I'm going to put in a junction box and an electrical socket right about there, and one here and one here. That's just for convenience, because it's handy to have electricity. If you're going to plug something in for a while, I don't know, even a flashlight or a vacuum cleaner or something crazy, it's nice to have electric power out here. Now, the other thing we're going to do is run the conduit's going to continue over there, run down there, and we're going to have a separate thing here, a separate connection here for the cooler, and put a thermostat in and all that kind of good stuff so that it runs automatically. So anyway, that's what we're going to do today. So the first task is to get up here and start running the conduits over. I'm going to use these conduits because I have them, and actually I took them out of the greenhouse that I just tore down. I used these. They were electrical conduits, but actually I used them for lateral stability in the greenhouse. And I chucked them over there, and where behind the wall where all the reusable stuff is. And we're going to use them for what they were originally intended, electrical conduit. So we'll get on with that, and here we go. Now I'm cutting off a piece of this conduit in my shop to length. I've already measured a piece that I need. And this stuff is real easy to work with. It's steel, and what you basically can do with it is you can just saw it with a hacksaw. Now I know that seems a little simplistic, and why should we even talk about that? But just so you know that this stuff is quite easy to work with. Now this piece has got to be 31 inches, and we'll go in the greenhouse in a minute and we'll install it. Okay, here's that 31-inch piece of conduit that I was telling you about. And the reason it's 31 inches is because I want to be able to go from here to here and run a little electrical outlet box right there. And if I've measured it right, it should be 31 inches for the box. Now, the way you do this, just for practical illustrations, is you should take, if you're going to use metal, and by the way, I better tell you why I'm going to use metal. Because I have it, and I also happen to have a big roll of indoor wire, the regular house wiring that you use. Now, you can get outdoor wiring, outdoor rated wiring that you could actually put in here and just tack it up on the walls or tack it up on the 2x4s up high. And that stuff is rated for weather and wetness and all kinds of stuff like that, and even bury it. But I have the other stuff, and I have this. If you're going to use indoor wiring in an outdoor environment, you've got to have it inside of a conduit, because the stuff just will not hold up over the years without a conduit. The sun will basically rot the casing off of it and so forth. It might take a few years, but it'll do it. So, I have conduit, I have wire, and I'm going to use it because I've already got it, and I don't want to spend any more money. So here's what you do with the conduit. You first, the one end, you got to make sure you get all the burrs out of here. And now you can put a little liner in here. I forgot the actual, there's a name for it, but you can put this little liner in here, and what it's for is you put the wire in. It's to stop the wire from chafing. Now what I've done instead is I have taken the inside of this and reamed it out real good so there's no sharp edges in there. And then you take one of these things, and this is a connector that you can buy at a hardware store, and it's for connecting to electrical junction boxes like the one I have up there. And it's got a little screw to tighten it, but I'm not going to tighten it right now. So what we're going to do right now is put it up in place and see if I've measured it. Just let that set in there for a minute. Now that'll stay there for just a minute. So here's another junction box. Again, what you got is you might see these little indentations here. That and that and that. And these and these. What these are is knockout plugs. And they're meant to be, take a little hammer or a pair of pliers and you knock those out and then you squeeze them off. And that's where you put the connectors. So, here we go. Let's see if I've measured this right. Now I want to put this right here, so let's see. And you know what? I've measured it right. Okay, I wanted to show you how you mount one of these things. Now, remember I told you about the knockout plugs and things in here. I'm going to knock some of these out for you to show you how to do this. Now, what I need is the two sides, one there and one there. And I need the bottom, and the bottom here's on the top. Now, if you just knock that out, see? Knock this one out. And then what you do, you can just get in there with a pair of pliers. See how it's sticking out there? And you just grab it and twist it around. So now what I've got is a conduit box. There it is. There's the conduit box. And I'm going to mount it like this. Like that. So I'll have a hole on this side and a hole on that side and a hole on the bottom to run the conduit down to that electrical outlet that I'd like. Okay, let's go put this up and see how it works. Hey, this is that roll of wire I was telling you about that I had. I don't know, there might be 100 feet there or something like that. My pencil mark. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. There we go. Alright, got my line. There we go. We're back in focus. Got my lineman pliers. And here we go. Cut that off. There we go. Now, so there's that chunk of wire that should be just right. So let's take it over here and throw it on. Now this kind of illustrates the reason why you want to put this wire in, thread it through before you put the rest of it in. Because otherwise you're going to have to go like that and bend it down there, and it's kind of tough. This way I can just go straight through and you can thread it through this pipe a lot easier. So, it's threading through. There it is. Okay, so there, we'll just let it hang out. So there's the extra that we've got to work with on both ends. Now what we're going to do is go down the line and do the same thing with all of the other conduit boxes and plugs. So I don't think I'll show you all that. You get the idea. You do this all the way down, and then you make the connections here to run your conduit boxes. Anyway, so let me get to do that, and I've got to actually go to the hardware store and get a few more things because I've run out of stuff. Well, it's the 20th of July today, 2016, and I've got the wiring finished. Now, I do need to put the covers on the boxes there. Bought the wrong size covers, but it's all wired up and it's all hot now. And as you can see, I've got outlets right here, and I've got one there, and I've got one there. Now this one here is a special outlet. What this one is going to be is a thermostat. That'll be to control the swamp coolers. And I've also moved inside my controller for the water system. So that doesn't need to be run on a big extension cord anymore. So we're all inside now with electric power. And let me show you over here what I've done for the cooler. You see now, if you notice this socket over here, this outlet over here, I've got two sockets on there, two outlets. The one on the left side is the one for the cooler. The one on the right side is the one that's always on. Now the reason for that is that the one on the left side is going to be turned off and on based on what the thermostat says over here. So that'll turn the cooler off and on as needed when it's too hot in here and so forth. So anyway, I've got that all done. Plug this in. Now watch. Make sure everything's clear over there. I'll plug this in, and there she goes. And if I stand here, oh yeah, it's warm air because it's hot outside, but it's air. It's moving. It's a lot of air. It's probably drowning out the camera right now. I probably can't hear anything, but it works. So let me pull the plug on this. There.